Cool. Well, hey, Garrett Stuckey here with the Startup 360 podcast, and I've got Jon Rennie here down here in Wilson, North Carolina. So pretty excited to be down here, being a Ann Arbor guy myself. So I guess just to kind of get started, can you just give me a brief intro to who you are, what you do, and we'll kind of take off?
Sure, thanks. It's good to be here. Well, it's my factory, so it's good to be in my factory. So we are Peak Demand. My name's Jon Rennie. I'm the CEO of Peak Demand. I founded this company, and we're here in Wilson, North Carolina, and we make products for electric utilities. So there's 3,500 electric utilities around the country, and we make product for them. And one of the things that we noticed about different suppliers in this industry is that the lead times are very long. It takes 4 to 6 weeks to get some of these products that we produce here in this factory, and we decided to change things. You know, we live in a day and age where Amazon can ship something in 24 hours, and we said, why can't we do that here? And that's what we've done. So we've created a manufacturing plant, and we make our products, we design and make our products, and we ship it in 24 hours. So we go faster than anybody else in the industry. So we're, in a way, a little bit like the Amazon of this electric utility products business.
That's great. So, because with utilities, it seems like the times that you need the parts the most is like a storm or some accidents or things like that, and there's just weeks to wait for parts. Like, what were utility companies doing before you guys then?
So that is true. So one of the things they do is they stock up a lot of stock. They keep a very large storm supply so that when something does happen, they have the parts that they need. But when something happens and they don't have the parts they need, they're in trouble. So that's why we created this company, so that we can get them out of a jam. So they need a CT, something broke, they don't have something in stock, they can call us and we can ship it out right away. And utilities love it. So the customers that we've done business with and the people that have used our products, they just absolutely love our business model. And they can't believe we do it as fast as we do. I'll give you one example. We had a small utility in North Carolina. They sent us a purchase order, and we received it. We sent an order acknowledgement, and then we built the units and shipped the units the next day. And the next day the gentleman called and he said, "Did you get my purchase order?" And we were like, "Oh yeah, and here's your shipping confirmation number. It's already shipped." And he's like, "Wait, what?" So it's just a mindset shift. They weren't used to getting a product that quick. So we're used to it in our own personal lives with Amazon, but why not have it in a B2B type of application? So that's what we do.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So, how long have you been doing this then?
So our business is just over 3 years old. We formed the company, and we spent about a year developing and designing our products. And then 2 years ago, we opened up this factory, and then we launched our products into the market. So really, it's been shipping product and building product for really 2 years straight. But the first year was designing, developing, and testing all of our different products.
Gotcha. So, how do you test all of those products? Because it seems like you need a lot of power running through things to see if it'll blow up.
Yeah. That's the challenge. Well, there's two things. One is the design tests they're actually conducted in high power laboratories. And there's only 2 in North America. So one's in Canada, one's in Pennsylvania. So our products have to go there to be tested. And then there's a lot of mechanical tests that get done. We actually do that down in the South at a college down in the South, Mississippi State. So we actually go to their labs at Mississippi State and test our products there. But in our own factory, we do all our production tests. So we had to find, when we were looking for a building for a factory, we had to have one that had the right power requirements to be able to do the type of testing that we do here. So yeah, it requires a lot of power.
Awesome. Cool. That's really interesting. So, gonna kind of change pace on you a little bit.
Sure.
So, you started off in the military.
Yes.
And can you tell me a little bit about that? Kind of what about that experience brought you into? Obviously, I know a little bit more about your work history, and kind of bring me through up to that as well.
So interesting. My father was a high voltage electrician in an electric utility. So I grew up in the utility industry, but when I joined the military, I joined the Navy. I was on nuclear submarines. I thought I was very far away from the electric utility business. I had, my father was there, but I was going to do something completely different. So I went in the military. I served on nuclear submarines. I was a nuclear engineer. And when I got out after 5 years, I was looking for a job. And I had 2 job offers. One was to go work in pharmaceutical sales, which I knew nothing about, being
Yep.
an engineer. And the second opportunity I had was to work as an engineer at a company called ABB, which I had never heard of, designing products for electric utilities. And the job at ABB was in Florida, and
Yep.
I was like, okay, Florida as an engineer, I don't know what ABB is. I don't really know what they're doing, but that sounds exciting to me, and that's what I did. And so I spent nearly 15 years, actually more than 15 years, with ABB in the manufacture of products for electric utilities. So I kind of got sucked back into the same business my father was in, only in a different aspect. Instead of being a user of the products, I was in the design and manufacturing of the product.
Awesome. So did he find some humor in that? Just saying,
I
like,
think so. We laugh about it a lot. The only person that doesn't find it funny is my mother, because my father and I talk shop, and we talk equipment all the time, and she just kind of rolls her eyes and says, she can't believe we're talking about this stuff again. So, but it is neat to be involved in a business very similar to what my father was involved with. So,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool. So is this would you say, like, your first entrepreneurial kind of thing that you've done, or?
Yeah, so that's really interesting. So it was like a desire of mine at some day to start my own business. And I had a couple of opportunities, but the risk seemed very high, and my tolerance for risk was pretty high. So I didn't really want to do it. But then this opportunity opened up, and I really felt like this was the time to do it. I was experienced, nearly 50 at the time, nearly 50 years old. I've been in the industry a long time. I really felt like I had the experience and the knowledge to make it work this time. So we took the chance, and so this is my first time. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Well, that's exciting.
Yeah.
So you've got you have 3 partners besides yourself that
Yes.
are involved in this business.
Mhm.
So I guess tell me how you met them and how you where did this idea come from? 'Cause,
Sure.
I mean, obviously you're in it. Maybe were they working with you at ABB, or what was that
Yeah,
story?
so these are former colleagues of mine when I was with ABB. I had already left ABB and worked for a company called Schneider Electric for almost 3 years, and some former colleagues of mine, we started talking about the idea of starting our own business. And so we kept thinking there's an opportunity here, but obviously to do something like this and having a manufacturing operation takes a lot of capital. We had some money, but the kind of money that takes to do something like this is big. So we had to find a partner that had the financial resources to be able to kind of fill in with our dreams. So the 3 of us, the 3 colleagues, the co-founders, if you
Yep.
will, we approached another gentleman and we pitched the idea of starting this business. And it was almost like Shark Tank. I mean, we
Yeah.
went in and we pitched an idea, and he said yes. He said, "Yeah, let's do it. I'm excited about it." So and we did. And so kind of the big key to that was having a really good business plan and having really concrete results, and the fact that the team that approached the investor, we had been very successful together in other companies, and we had grown and become, we'd been very successful at other companies. So it was really easy to pitch the idea that we wanted to do this on our own here. So
Okay, so there's a couple things I kind of want to hone in on. So one is you'd been working together before.
Yes.
So able to take departments or divisions and have those numbers to say, hey, like, this is what the 3 of us have done
yes,
in this industry.
Yes.
We've got the experience. So that was probably made it a lot easier for him.
Yes.
And then the business plan. You said you put together a business plan and you did some testing. How do you go from needing a manufacturing setup to, or not having that, and how are you testing this? Like, are you just calling people saying, like, hey, would you like parts in 24 to 48 hours? Like, sure, that sounds nice, but like, what did that look like? I guess, like,
you mean when we first rolled out the products, and how do we introduce customers to it, or more how do we prove out our plan was going to be good?
Yeah. How did you prove that out? Because you need a facility like this to make them.
Yeah.
That's what I see. So how do you
Yeah.
get from here's our idea on paper to
Yeah.
we're able to prove it to this investor?
Yeah. I see.
He's-
So I think part of it was we knew there was a problem to solve, which was speed and ease of doing business. All of my competitors are very large companies in the billions, right?
Yep.
I am not in the billions, right? So they have a lot of resources, but so we had to we knew the size of the market. We knew there was an opportunity, there was a problem to fix. The advantage is our financial partner was in the industry too, and he
Okay.
also saw the advantages to what the method that we were proposing or the solution we were proposing. So I think it was easier. It was not somebody outside the industry. So
Gotcha.
so we were telling him what the problems were and how we were going to solve it, and he went, "Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
Okay.
that makes sense." So I think that was a little easier for us. The fact that we'd been in the industry so long, and he had as well, and he could understand what we were trying to say was not far-fetched. We showed him the size of the market, who are the main players, where the opportunities were, and I think I mean, having experience in an industry really does help you.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Um,
Another thing too is I think, if you're going to start a business, or if you're thinking about you want to start a business someday, go work for one of these big companies and learn about like how they do it, and become really, understand the market, know the customers and what have you. And then if you do it on your own, you have, it's basically it's free education, right? I mean, it's one thing to go get a master's degree, but another thing, work for a company in that industry, learn that business or learn that space. And then when you do it on your own, you'll have a lot of experience. So.
yeah, that's a really
Yeah.
good idea. I think that's smart, and it seems to have really helped you out because you were telling me beforehand your revenue's been growing great. I don't know if you want to share that.
Yeah, I mean, we're still small,
Yep.
but we've been doubling in size every year. And the great thing about it, I think the best way to measure your success is repeat business. And I think everyone that has ever ordered from us has reordered from us. So, and
that is
we add
awesome.
new customers every week. And I think that's a good sign that our message, our actions support our message, and it's resonating with customers. And that's really good to see.
Yeah, it's got to feel great.
It does feel good, yeah. I mean, I was just at a trade show, a meter school, where we got a chance to teach meter technicians about products and get them up to speed. And one of our customers was in the room, and he kept talking about how great peak demand was and how we get our product quicker than anybody else. He said one vendor he was working with, it took him a year to get him a product that he was looking for.
Wow.
Yeah, 1 year compared to 1 day. I mean, it's hard to even comprehend. I literally looked at him like you just looked at me and said, "A year?" And he's
I
like,
feel
"Yeah."
like I could beat that, and I know nothing about this industry.
And it's almost the one thing that's been one of our challenges actually is that the customers are treated so poorly in this industry that they don't necessarily know that they have a problem. They're like, well, it takes 6 weeks. It's just what it is, right? They're used to it. And then when we say, well, we can ship in 24 hours, it's like, wait, you can do that? Like, yeah, we can do that. I mean, that's our business model. And so, I think it's been one of the challenges is making people. They're like in that pot, like a lobster. If you just keep turning up the heat, and they've been in this boiling water, and they don't realize it's boiling water. They've been in it so long, and they haven't been treated fairly, I think, in terms of other industries where speed is important, like a consumer goods or whatever. So
Gotcha.
So I think they don't realize they have a problem. When we show them they have a problem, they're like, wow. So
Awesome. So everybody's repeating, which is really
Yes.
great. Now, what is I guess kind of flipping out? Your competitors are these multi-billion-dollar companies.
Yes.
What's to stop them from doing what you guys are doing? And then, how are you fending off that competition or potential competition of, if these guys can make a part in 24 hours, I
Yeah.
can make a part in 24 hours.
Sure.
I've got the resources behind me.
So the best thing I have going for me is that these guys, each of these business leaders in these big companies have to go through a monthly business review. And there they get beat up on cash flow and inventory turns and all the things that, consultants or the accountants really care deeply about. They care about the financial numbers. They have to report, earnings. They have shareholders that they have to report to. I don't have any of that. I care about one thing, and that's the customer. I want the customer to be happy. So I think for them to change their business model, right? Because one of the things we do differently is we make to stock. So I build to stock, and then I ship from my stock. So I just manufacture to replenish my stock, where they build to order. Every order comes in, then they
Okay.
gather all the parts, and then they put it in line, and then you have to wait your time. And so they would have to completely shift their business model, which means more inventory, more cash, and it's going to go against the things that they're measured on by accountants. So I think, yeah, they could do it tomorrow, but there's organizational inertia in these big companies that are going to prevent them from doing it. So I'm a little, I'm a speedboat, and they're
Yeah.
just a big warship.
Yeah.
You know, my team is like a Navy SEAL team, and we're going up against a land army. So, you know, I remember the Revolutionary War and how it ended, right? So we are a little bit, you know, we're kind of like the colonials, and you know, we're smaller, we're more nimble, we're going to hide behind a tree, whereas they're going to be out in the open. So I think we got
Gotcha.
an opportunity.
All right.
So,
No, I
Yeah.
think that's great, and I think that's a really important thing for many like early businesses is being quick, being nimble, being able to adjust. So now, obviously, do you make, like for a power utility company, like what percentage of parts do you make? Like, could you hypothetically set up like a whole area with all of their parts, or do you focus on certain things that typically break down, or what is?
Yeah, it's a great question. So there's a lot of different components that go into the grid, if you can imagine, right?
Yep.
So we purposely have decided to start at the low voltage end. So there's different voltage levels that a utility deals with. There's low, there's medium, and high. The low voltage is considered underneath 600 volts. So we started there for a reason. So that's where the least amount of risk is for a utility. So as you go up in voltage, more customers are downstream. So if something happens to that medium voltage or that high voltage device, you could lose more electricity to
Okay.
more customers. So you build your trust at low voltage. That's what we've done. We've actually started at the lower voltages and built components under the low voltage side, build our brand, build our trust.
Yep.
And last year we just introduced our first medium voltage product. So now we're getting into we started at 600 volts, now we're going for the 15 kV devices. And so now it's like, okay, did you trust us yet? Well, okay, you trust us. So here's this new product we've developed. And so we build on that. So it's a very conservative industry, right?
Yep.
They got to keep the lights on. That's their mission,
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
And so they don't want the lights to go out. So we have to make sure that we present a low risk solution to them so that they can trust us. So we purposely started in the low end, what they call on the secondary side, the secondary distribution side. That's where we started, and then we're moving into the primary distribution side. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
So the goal then at some point is to get into the high voltage side.
We will, yeah. So
Yep.
there'll be medium voltage, high voltage products, and even more low voltage products. Eventually, we'll have a whole range of products on the transmission and distribution side of a utility. Yes.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So let's, I guess, kind of switch gears here. I want to check our time, make sure we're doing
Okay.
good. But so you're also doing some blogging and things like that. Can you kind of talk to me a little bit more about that aspect of your life?
Yeah. No, I think it's really good to bring up. One of the things I have a lot of passion for is leadership, and I think being at my age, I've had a lot of years of experience, and I've gotten a chance to see some really good bosses and some really bad bosses, and I think you learn a lot from each. But
Yep.
Over the past 5 years, I really felt compelled to teach, share, train, show how leadership really matters, how great leaders can really affect the performance of a business or any organization, really. So I started blogging about 5 years ago. I have a website. It's jonsrennie.com, and there's no H in Jon, so it's jonsrennie.com. And I've been writing blog posts, for about 5 years, and they center around leadership, about business, about startup life, what it's like to start a business. So it's really some good stuff on there. So if you're thinking of starting a business, or you're a new leader, it's a good place to go.
Awesome. So you started working on that stuff probably before peak demand became the idea on the napkin with your former colleagues and partners now.
Exactly. Yeah. So I was writing about leadership and doing some leadership stuff before we started this business. Yeah.
Awesome. So how is that line of work? How do you feel like it's impacted this business? Seems like, they say like you really learn best when you are teaching.
Yeah. So I think the one thing is, it's funny. I'll write about what it means to be a good leader, And I'll use examples from maybe some days in my early days as a leader, or maybe some days at ABB and things that I did. But then I find myself saying, "Oh, yeah, I haven't really done it with this team yet," and so it kind of reminds me of, okay, I've got a current team I need to go out there and I've got to do some of the things that I'm saying are best practices. So I think with anything else, if you're not constantly practicing it, you tend to get a little rusty. So sometimes it just reminds me to really be a great leader with my team and just really be the best. Because I think there's a lot of, when you start a company, right, the people that join you are taking a big risk. All the people that joined me all came from big companies. They had, 401k match and big, healthcare plans and, and raises and promotion opportunities and global travel. They come here. I'm a little company with one factory, and oh, by the way, you might have to work on the shop floor if we get a big order, right? So it's a completely different mindset. So I think as an entrepreneur, leadership is even more important because you have to connect with people. They have to see your vision. They have to be on board with your vision. They have to see that you're doing everything you can to build the business, and they have to, every day they're signing their career over to you. Like,
Yeah.
Is this gonna happen or not?
Yeah.
And I think vision is really important. Like, if a leader doesn't have vision or can't communicate what their vision is, then people are like, I don't see the big picture here, right? So they tend to get kind of, they get nervous, start looking for jobs. And I saw a statistic the other day and said 60 to 70% of people right now in America at work that have jobs are looking for a new job.
Wow, that is a lot.
There's so much dissatisfaction, and a lot of the times it's because of the direct boss.
Mm-hmm.
They either don't treat them well, or they don't see the vision. They just don't see any future for themselves, so they're looking for the next opportunity.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've had jobs where it was just that, where it was a fine job otherwise, but
Yeah.
bosses are just like, oh, it makes your day longer.
Yes.
It's so much worse.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now, are your partners and your employees reading your blog and stuff? Like, do they ever go like, hey, I saw this, what's up?
Hey, what's up? So yeah, they unfortunately they become part of the story often, and they'll
Yeah.
say, "Wait, that was me." I'm like, "Yeah, that was you. Sorry, I changed the name to protect the innocent." But yeah, they end up in my stories. They do read my stories, and actually, that's a great accountability group, right? They're like, "Oh, you said this, but do you really do that?" So it's been a great accountability loop. So it's been really good. So
That's really
Yeah.
awesome. So now you're working on writing a book, you said.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, how much of that are you willing to share? Just what's obviously what it's about.
Yeah.
What are you hoping to call it? Do you have a working title?
Yeah. So I think, as I mentioned, I'm a little further in my career. I started writing about leadership and what have you, but I've always thought that there's a story here, and it could be. I think books are a good way to tell stories, and sometimes you can't do it in a short form on a blog. So I really felt compelled to write a book, and I really wanted to write about my experience in the Navy.
Okay.
So being on a submarine, I made 7 deployments on a nuclear submarine, the USS Tennessee, during the end of the Cold War, right? And so imagine if you go to work one day, right, and 150 employees, you all get locked at work. No windows, no sunlight, no beer. You literally just go away for 3 months, and you have to learn how to get along with others, right? So you have to learn how to work with others. You have to learn how to lead in a very, tight spaces. And so the working title right now of the book is called All in the Same Boat, and it's lessons I learned leading on a nuclear submarine. So I'm bringing those lessons, and then I talk about the 20 years that I've been leading people in the civilian world, and how those early lessons I learned in the Navy really helped me become a better leader. So learning how to, we live in a society, right, where it's really divided. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, if you're Republican or Democrat or right and left, and like everybody's yelling at each other.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I don't get into it. The reason I don't get into it is because I spent 5 years of my life locked in a metal tube with people that I didn't necessarily like, right? But
Yeah.
I learned to get along with, and I think there's some lessons there for today. So
Yeah, that's a really powerful way to learn how to get along with people, because
Yeah.
there are lots of people that I'm sure you were stuck with that you were probably dreading when you were starting off on those
Yeah.
deployments. So
yeah.
that's really cool. So from your times in the military, do you have any people that you're with then that are a part of your business now, or that maybe in the peripheral, like maybe even connected to your leadership blog, or?
Yeah, I have, every once in a while I have like a former colleague that was on the boat with me. They'll see an article and they're like, "Ah, I remember that." You know, like I'll tell a story and they'll like remember it, and that's kind of neat. So I'm still connected with a number of former shipmates on LinkedIn, especially when I write articles on LinkedIn. That's when people really see it. That are, I wrote one article. It was like 10 leadership lessons I learned while leading on a nuclear submarine. It was just I was actually on vacation. I was in a cabin in North Carolina. I was drinking my coffee, and in a couple hours, I wrote this blog post. I didn't think much about it. I wrote it, put it out there, and then on LinkedIn, it had more than 150,000 views.
Oh, wow.
And it was shared all over the place, and people really liked it. And it did. It reached a lot of my former colleagues in the submarine community. And they're like, "Whoa, that was a great story, and I remember you from the boat and all that." So it's kind of neat because I got out of the military in '94, so I've been out for a long time. But it was really neat to connect with a lot of old shipmates. So.
Yeah, it must be really cool. A lot of blasts from the past. And
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
you know,
yeah. I've got some embarrassing stories from back then too. I've grown as a leader, so, so there were some stories like, "I remember when you did that." I go, "Let's not talk about that."
Yeah, let's. Can we just privately message about that one, please?
Right. So yeah, I've grown.
Yeah.
So as a young leader, I was very I had a short temper, and everything had to be precise in my way, and much more demanding as a leader. Whereas now I really see there's a value in stepping back and allowing other people to take ownership and really not being as much on top of people and kind of stepping back and letting them take their best to work and they're bringing ideas that I never would have come up with. I have young people working for me that they come up with something like I would have never considered that. So I've learned over the years that the best thing a leader can do is allow their best people to do great work and kind of get out of the way, set the vision, set the rules, but really get out of the way and let really good people do amazing things. And that's a big evolution for me as far as leadership is concerned. So.
Awesome. And then I guess kind of along that, what are some other maybe key leadership lessons that, or maybe like some of those out of the 10 that you learned on the sub that you think are especially important to new entrepreneurs or even
Okay, I'll give you one good one, and this will be a chapter in the book, so you'll love it. So it's called "Run to the Fire." Okay, and on a submarine, okay, so if in this building, if there was a fire, what do? We evacuate. You run towards the exit, right?
Yep.
So you run away from the fire, right? On a submarine, you do just the opposite. You run towards the fire. Why? Because the heat and the smoke will kill everybody quickly. So you want to get that fire out as quickly as possible. So the lesson there, and it comes into business and starting your own business, is when you have a problem, you run towards it and you fix it quickly because it'll grow and it'll kill your business. It has the potential to kill your business. So what are you doing to attack problems quickly? And so I really believe in this idea of putting out fires before they get big. And don't run away from it. In corporate life, okay, and people will be hearing this and they're nodding their heads, right?
Yeah.
In corporate life, people run away from problems. They're like, "Whoa, that's not my issue. That's not my problem." And these problems get bigger and bigger and bigger because people run away from them and don't run towards it. So if you want to be successful in business, you attack the problems before they get bigger. So that's a really important lesson I learned from my days. And I'm actually a trained firefighter. So everybody who comes on board a submarine is a trained firefighter. For that reason, we are trained to fight fires because fire and flooding will kill you on a submarine. So you gotta solve them quickly. So.
That's a really good lesson. I really like the analogy. I mean, it's a
simple thing. When people hear it, they're like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense," right? But I think when we think of traditionally of a fire, we're running away from it, and let the experts handle it, right?
Yep.
Let the fire crews come in.
Let me call somebody, and they'll.
But in a small company, there's no experts. You're it, right? If you're a small business owner, you own it. If it happens. If you're running out of cash, you better figure out how to get some cash in there. If you got a customer problem, you better get on a plane and get your butt out there, right? If you've got a quality issue, you got to solve it. So you can't let it get out of control. If you got an employee issue, you got to solve it, and you can't let it grow. You don't have time to let it grow. So in a small business, cash is super critical, right? Yep. And time is critical. You got to go fast, and you got to solve problems quickly, and you got to don't let things get out of control.
No, I think that's a really great lesson. So thanks for sharing that. Well, let's. I got a few rapid
Okay,
fire
great.
questions here.
Ready to go.
You ready to go?
So.
We'll read them at a normal pace, actually.
Okay.
So, who has been the kindest person in your life?
Kindest person, all right, this is true. The first guy that gave me a plant. I did not deserve to be a plant manager. I had been an engineering manager, I'd been a quality manager. I had never run a manufacturing plant, and I had a boss that said, do you want to take over this manufacturing plant? And I was 32 years old, and I went, absolutely. And I showed up at this manufacturing plant. I didn't know anything about how to run a manufacturing plant. But that guy was the kindest boss I ever had because he gave me a chance. And you know what? We did great. But how many times do leaders not give somebody a chance? And so I would say he's the kindest because he gave me that opportunity.
So I really thought for a moment somebody handed you like a flower.
Yeah.
And then like he followed up. I was like, that's really nice. And then I was like, okay, that makes a lot more sense.
I think the gift of a challenge, he gave me a gift of an opportunity and a challenge. You know what? I think as leaders, we got to give our best people really hard assignments because it'll test them. They'll either, like a flower, they'll either bloom or they're going to fade. And it's a really good chance to let people, see what they can do. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really good. What are you bad at, and how do you solve that issue?
I'm so bad at detail work. I can't sit and fill out a form. Like if you make me fill out a form, I go crazy. So how do I do that? I've got someone that works for me who's really good at the detail work, and she takes care of all that. Like if we have a new customer form or new vendor form or, some sort of government application, I just give it to her. She fills it out, she gives it to me, I check it over, and it's beautiful. So I'm a big picture guy. I like to move fast. Detail work drives me crazy. So that's my
just
big
delegate it.
I have to. Yeah, it drives me crazy. So.
It's a really good solution to that.
Yeah, if you're not, they say that if you're not good at something, outsource it. Find somebody that is and let them do it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So what advice would you give a high school graduate, a college graduate, and then a 50-year-old?
Okay. So high school graduate, figure out what you want to do in life, but as a high school student, you might be going to college. Just really explore different ideas. See all the different things you might want to potentially do, and just really get a chance to get yourself exposed to a lot of different ideas so that you can find one that you really have a passion for. Don't jump into something just because it pays good money. Do something that you're passionate about. So that would be a high school person. So just explore different ideas, be exposed as much as you can. Go travel, go, learn, read books, listen to strange podcasts. Just really get yourself exposed to a lot of things. College grad, I'll be honest with you. I will say this right here, right now.
Yep.
Don't start a business right out of college. Don't do it. I say go learn. Go work for another company. Go work for 4 years, 5 years. It's not that long. Really learn how things are done in the world. And this is going to offend some people, but if you're 22 years old and you want to be a life coach, I'm not going to hire you because you haven't lived enough life, right? Yeah. So I think get some experience, get some gray hairs, or get some experience underneath your belt before you start a business. I think that's really important. And maybe I'm saying that because I did that, but I really believe that helped me be successful. I can read a cash flow statement. I can read a P&L. I know all this stuff. I don't think about it. I can write a business plan because I've been doing it for years. So I think, be careful. Don't jump into something because, I've got this passion for, green golf balls or something. I don't know what it is, but, just, be careful. So that's the advice. And then the 50-year-old, if you've been dreaming about doing something, do it.
Do it.
Yeah, do it because, I'm 51. So, and here I am, co-founder, CEO of a small company, fighting the good fight. All my peers, it seems like, everything I read about entrepreneurs, they're all like 30-something, and here I am 50-something. But you know what? I'm having the best time of my life. I wouldn't change it for the world. If you're 50 years old, it means you got a lot of experience, a lot of life experience. And so you probably know better how to do it than somebody else. So what is the problem out there in your industry, and how can you solve it differently? How can you do it better, or how can you do it different? Different is kind of key. So go do it. I mean, it's really cool. So it's been fun. It's been a fun ride. I'm glad I did it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that's great advice.
Yeah.
What is your best habit?
My habit? Okay, this you're gonna think it's not true, but it's true. You can ask my wife. I get up at 4 a.m. every morning and I go to the gym. I have a gym in my house. I work out, And it's just, that is this the best time of my day, because I'm just, I don't have to think about anything. I'm just me in the gym, and I just really enjoy it. I do it every day. So I'll get up at 4 a.m. every day, and it just gets a good start to the day. I think if you're going to do this work, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you better be physically healthy. You got to be mentally healthy. You got to be spiritually healthy, and you better have a good support system like a family or people that love you and support you, because this is hard work.
It is.
This is hard
Absolutely.
work, and you know what? There's stress, and people might look around and say, "Well, this guy's got a factory. It must be easy." I'll tell you what, it's not easy. I have worked my tail off. I have had sleepless nights. You name all the things that an entrepreneur has gone through. I've gone through it. I'll tell you one good book to read.
Yeah.
Shoe Dog. Have you heard of Shoe Dog?
I have not.
Yeah, it's by Phil Knight, who's the founder of Nike, and it is just a great book. It took him 18 years to make money. He was going at it for 18 years before he turned a profit in that company. And you want to know what it's like to be an entrepreneur, you need to read Shoe Dog, because I can tell you all day long how hard it is. When you read that book, you're just like, wow, holy cow! If Phil Knight went through this, I can do it. If it took him 18 years to and what he had to go through, and the lawsuits and just all the stuff that he went through, I'm like, man, I think I can do this, right? So that's a really encouraging book if you're an entrepreneur, to understand the realities of what it's like. So it seems like it'd be a lot of glory to be an entrepreneur, but it's a lot of sleepless nights, and it's a lot of I'm glad I'm in it. It's an exciting life, but it's also a challenging life. So that's a really good book.
Yeah, I will read that next, because
it's very good.
That sounds really good.
Yeah.
And then my last rapid fire question is, what is a question that you think I should ask every guest on this podcast?
I'm always curious to know what is the catalyst that gets business owners or somebody to found a business. That is always the exciting part to me. It's like the alchemy of, you're just like, okay, I think I can make gold out of this, right? So it's this idea that something is born in you that just sticks in your craw, and you're like, I think I can solve this. I think I can solve it. And I love listening to stories of entrepreneurs, and what I always like to see is that genesis, that little seed that was the reason why they just said, I gotta do this myself. I gotta solve this problem. The Netflix versus Blockbuster thing. It's just like, I love that.
Yeah.
That's the cool thing. So,
awesome.
yeah.
Well, I think that's a really good question. I like that. So as we wrap up here, I always like to ask my guests, what can the audience do to help you?
Yeah, I think learn. I mean, go on to jonsrennie.com.
Okay.
Read some of my blog posts. You can come visit our website here at this company at peakdemand.com. And if you're in the utility space, please buy our products, and we need the business, right?
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
I've got big competitors, so I want to be able to grow. So if you're in the utility space, check out Peak Demand. We can help you out. But if you're just like someone who wants to start a business or thinking about it, go onto my website, my personal website. I think there's a lot of good stuff out there. And if you're a new leader, go there as well. I think there's some great stuff out there for you. So and when my book comes out, which will probably be next year, early next year, buy my book.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. And they'll be able to find that at Jon S. Rennie as well when it's ready.
Yeah,
awesome.
Exactly.
Well, wonderful. Well, Jon, I really appreciate you having me on, or you coming on here, and taking the time out of the day. Obviously, you've got a lot going on, so I think you had great advice, and really excited about this. So
thank you.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, it was an honor. It was great
All right.
meeting you. So it's great. Thank you.